The film begins with a somber atmosphere where two innocent sisters, Spider and her younger sister, are standing in front of their mother's corpse, crying. Their mother died just the previous night because she had taken too many drugs. With heavy hearts, both sisters silently lift their mother's body and hide it in an old trunk lying in a nearby shed. Crying, Spider's younger sister expresses her love to her mother one last time and takes her locket, her mother's last memento, to keep with her. But as the older sister, along with her grief, Spider was also afraid that if anyone outside found out about their mother's death, the authorities would separate the two of them and the sisters would be parted forever. But Spider did not want to lose her little sister under any circumstances. That's why she decides that the two of them will pretend as if their mother is still alive. The next morning, both sisters leave for school as usual, and the younger sister is also wearing their mother's locket. So Spider tells her to take off the locket and leave it at home. Then, even after reaching school, she reminds her not to tell anyone about their mother's death. Later, to lighten her heart, Spider tells her best friend about her mother's death on the condition that she won't tell anyone. And she also says that under no circumstances does she want to lose her little sister. Then her friend, feeling sad, decides to help her and also gives her encouragement. But that very evening, her little sister's action scares her because she came home from school with her friend and her friend's grandmother. So Spider, panicking, scolds her and also explains that next time, not only should she not bring anyone home, but she shouldn't even bring anyone near the house, because people might come to their house and find out the truth about them. But apart from the fear of people discovering their secret, another problem also starts to arise for them. Gradually, their food supplies were running out, and there were still 6 days left before their mother's monthly income would come in. That's why both of them decide to get by for the next 6 days by eating less food. But just then, their mother's friend, whose name is Rai, suddenly comes to their house to meet her. To avoid him, Spider lies and says that their mom left with another woman about an hour ago. Still, Rai suspects that Spider might be lying. But for now, he says, "Call me when your mom gets back." And with that, he leaves. Nervously, her sister keeps repeating that Rai could come back here. Angrily, Spider yells at her, causing her to sit by their mother's corpse and cry. So Spider goes to her, hugs her, and tries to comfort her, saying that he's just a drunk man. When he feels that mom doesn't want him, he'll go to someone else. Now, to cheer up her sister, Spider takes her shopping as soon as she gets some money, the two buy lots of food and drinks, have a great time, and sit outside to eat their food. Today, after a long time, they finally ate something good. But just then, a worker from the shop comes outside and starts taking their pictures. Spider scolded him and went over to him. She tries to delete the photos from his camera, but since his camera isn't digital, she's unable to delete them. When they get home, Spider tells her sister that they're getting $600 a month from the government, $200 per person. And that's only because no one has found out yet that their mom has died. After that, the two sisters fall asleep at night, talking about and remembering their mother. But the next morning, their anxiety increases when their mother's phone suddenly gets a call from child services, and the officer says she'll come to the house to check if their mother is taking proper care of them or not. Both sisters become frightened. Spider's sister says that after knowing the truth, the two of us will be separated. So both of them quickly start cleaning their mother's room together. That's when they find their mother's old teaching certificate, which reveals that before she became addicted, their mother was a teacher. Then Spider decides that she will tell the officer that their mother has gone for a bank job interview. But just then, Spider's sister remembers that their mother's car is still parked outside, which could make the officer suspicious of them. So both sisters try to hide it together. Spider doesn't even know how to drive, but somehow she manages to drive the car and hides it out of sight. Then the next day, when the officer arrives at their house, both of them say that their mother has gone for a job interview and try to present their mother as a responsible and loving parent in front of her. The officer thoroughly checks their entire house, the fridge and their mother's room, and after finding everything in order, tells them to call her when their mother returns, and then leaves. For now, both of them breathe a sigh of relief, but they know that the officer will come again in a few days. So the next day, Spider decides to run far away from there and goes to the bus stand to ask about the ticket price. but she is only 15 years old. Upon learning this, the receptionist tells her not to wander around alone. Annoyed by his words, Spider leaves from there and goes back to the store to get some essential items. There, she runs into that cameraman shop worker again. The worker shows her the photo he took that day and tells her that he often goes around taking pictures. He even offers Spider to come along with him sometime so that both of them can take photos together. But Spider refuses him and goes back home. When she gets home, her sister is still holding their mother's locket, remembering her. She asks Spider, "Why are you so angry with Mom?" So Spider just says that her mother made a lot of bad decisions in her life. Then after a while, her sister also sees the photo that the worker had taken and teases Spider to make her laugh, saying, "That boy likes you, doesn't he?" Then Spider also tells her that he has invited her to come along with him to take pictures. Hearing this, her sister insists that she should go with him. So Spider agrees as well. The next day, the worker comes to pick up Spider on an old bike, and the two of them ride together, eventually stopping at a spot deep in the forest. Spider jokingly asks him if he's some kind of killer. The worker just smiles, and then the two of them go into the forest, where the worker teaches her how to use the camera and take photos. After returning, he takes Spider to his darkroom and shows her how he prints the photos. This is when Spider finds out about one of his clients who makes fake certificates because he used to be a document officer. Then, at Spider's request, the worker drops her off a little distance from her house and also gives her a small digital camera to keep for a few days. When Spider gets home, both she and her sister are happy. Gradually, both sisters begin to move past their mother's sorrow, finding small moments of happiness and becoming each other's support. But their happiness doesn't last for long. One day, while they are sitting in a cafe, Ree arrives there as well and angrily starts asking about their mother because she hasn't contacted him in days. He threatens Spider, saying that if their mother doesn't want to meet him, then at least she should return his $300 by Friday. Both sisters get scared because they barely have enough money for themselves. In a panic, the next day, Spider goes to a store and sells the digital camera given by the worker, but she only gets $50 for it. So, to make up the remaining amount, she pawns her mother's necklace as well, and at night she goes to Ree's van, gives him the money, and tells him to leave them alone. But Ree starts taunting Spider about her mother and says all sorts of nasty things. He says, "Your mother is an addict, she's always high. If she were in her senses, she would never have sent you here alone." Hearing his words, Spider breaks down and runs away crying to the shed. In anger, she keeps kicking the trunk with her mother's corpse inside and yells that she hates her because she was even friends with a lowlife like Ree. When she gets home, her sister, frightened, hugs her tightly and asks, "Now Ree will leave us alone, right?" Spider quietly answers yes. But she knows that if Ree finds out about their mother's death, the two sisters will be separated. The next day, she starts reading about adoption on the internet. She found out that an 18-year-old sibling can adopt their younger brothers or sisters, but she herself was only 15 years old. At night, her sister starts asking her about their mother's locket. But Spider worries that her heart might break. That's why she can't bring herself to say that she has pawned the necklace. Just then, Spider's friend's dad, who is a decent man, calls on their mother's phone, because he is also a friend of Spider's mom. He leaves a voice message for their mom saying, "Call me back." This makes Spider even more anxious. The next day, she meets the worker's client, that is, the document maker officer, and asks her to make fake papers for her, like a driver's license and birth certificate, so it looks like she's 18 years old. But she doesn't have enough money to pay the officer's hefty fee. Even so, Spider manages to convince her to make the papers by saying that she really needs them, and when she gets home, she tells her friend about her plan, that she will take her sister somewhere no one knows them, and by using a fake ID to appear 18 years old, she will adopt her own sister herself. But for now, I won't tell my sister anything. Hearing this, her friend is shocked but also encourages her. The next day, Spider goes to the store, buys back the worker's camera, returns it to him and tells him to stay away from her, saying she doesn't have time to spend with him anymore. But the worker persuades her to hang out with him again, and she agrees to go with him. Together, they take photos and all, and gradually she starts to like the worker. But later, when she is at home with her sister, the child services officer suddenly comes to their house again. Both sisters, scared, go and hide in the shed where their mother's body is. But the officer comes there too and starts investigating and then calls their mother's phone, leaving a warning-filled voicemail saying that if they don't call back by the evening, she will call Sharif. In a panic, Spider goes straight to the officer's house to get the fake ID, but he's not there and the fake IDs aren't ready either. Now Spider has no idea what to do next. Her sister again starts asking about their mother's locket. So Spider finally tells her the truth that she sold the necklace. Hearing this, her sister's heart broke. She starts saying that the locket meant everything to our mother, but you sold it. To this, Spider tries to explain that our mother only loved her addiction, and she was a bad woman. Spider was saying this out of anger. Her sister refuses to accept this. Then Spider reminds her how their mother used to treat them badly, and how, when her sister was very young, their mother left her out on the porch and forgot about her. At that time, Spider heard her crying, brought her inside and saved her. Spider also tells her that you got asthma because of your mother's mistake. When you were in her womb, she took a lot of dangerous drugs, which made your lungs weak even before you were born. Hearing all this, she breaks down and crying, says that none of this can be true. Then she starts running out of the house, which makes her breathing heavy, and she collapses there unconscious from an asthma attack. Spider also immediately comes outside after her. You remembered that she had forgotten to refill her inhaler that helps her breathe. Panicking, she calls 911, but thinking that the ambulance will take time to arrive, she puts her sister in the car herself and takes her to the hospital. The doctors also immediately admit her and start the treatment. But the doctors refuse to tell her anything, saying that her sister's condition can only be disclosed to an adult. Now, even if she wants to, she can't call her mother. So feeling sad, she just sits there. But just then, her friend's dad, the sheriff, arrives and after confirming with the doctor, tells her that her sister is now fine. So she breaks down in tears and starts blaming herself for her sister's condition because she had forgotten to refill her sister's inhaler. The sheriff tries to comfort her, telling her, "You're just her sister." All of this is really your mother's responsibility, he says, and then asks her about her mother. But Spider can't say anything. She just says in a soft voice, "Please don't separate us." Just then, her sister is discharged and comes out, and the sheriff takes both sisters to his own home. When his wife finds out that their mother has been missing for weeks, she tells her husband that both sisters should stay with them until a good family is found. Then we'll give them up for adoption. But the sheriff explains that it's not that easy because there are already more than 70 children in their town waiting for a family, and if these two sisters are added to that list, it will be impossible for them to stay together in the same home. The next morning, the sheriff drops Spider and her sister off at school. Now Spider just wants to run away from all of this, so her friend insists on giving her some money to help her out. Then Spider gets a fake ID from the officer and rushes home, quickly starting to pack her things. Her sister, surprised, asks where they are going. So Spider tells her that they have to run away, but her sister starts to refuse. She doesn't want to leave her friends and mother behind like this. But Spider explains to her that if they don't run, they'll be separated, and in anger, she even slaps her. But just then, suddenly, Riz forcefully barges into their house and grabs Spider, pinning her against the wall. He is very... Then he said, "Your mother is dead, isn't she? And you're keeping her $200 for yourself. You've been hiding from everyone that your mother has passed away. And yes, if you want me to keep my mouth shut and keep this a secret, then you'll have to give me your mother's $200 every month." But his intentions were getting even worse. So before anything bad could happen, the two sisters teamed up and attacked him, and Spider knocked him out with a baseball bat. Her sister then sadly tells Spider that she doesn't want to go anywhere, and now Spider understands her feelings too. Then, sitting together, the two sisters sing an old song of their mothers and finally decide to tell the police everything. And then they actually did it. A little while later, their mother's body is taken away, and the sheriff comes and sits with them. With a heavy heart, Spider asks him, "Was what I did wrong?" The sheriff too replies with sadness. He tells her that whatever she did to keep her sister with her, and reassures them both that he won't let them be separated. But then their mother's funeral was held, meaning she was about to be buried. There, both sisters, with sad hearts and somber faces, place flowers on their mother's coffin, and the sheriff's family welcomes them as part of their own family. In other words, they adopted both sisters so that they wouldn't be separated. A little while later, the worker also comes to meet Spider. After this, Spider, remembering her mother, starts looking at her locket, which she had bought back, and she regrets every bad thing she ever thought about her mother. Because when she opened the locket, inside were childhood photos of both sisters. Spider now puts the locket around her neck and vows to always take care of her little sister and never leave her side. And with this, the story of the film also comes to an end here.